right, straight to the introduction because this man needs no introduction. There you see Cenk Uygur on the screen. Cenk, thanks for joining us. So I've been sitting back watching, especially over the holidays and into the first of the year, of all of this controversy surrounding you and the Young Turks and Anna, whatever. And I said, what is going on? Why is this a matter of, are the leftists eating their own? Why is the left after you, Cenk? I would think the right would be after you, but now the left is after you.
Yeah, so a couple of things here. Number one, there is no the left, right? There's a wide spectrum of beliefs, and what you see online is a little bit different than what you see in the real world. And the real left is basically the core of the Democratic voters. So secondly, I get it because we're in very divided times, enormously partisan, and the two camps are supposed to hate each other. That's the groove that we got into. And the minute you say, well, maybe we shouldn't hate each other, people go, wait a minute, are you selling out? Are you a bad guy? Are you going to their camp? But it is definitely a little bit more ironic for the left to do that because we're supposed to be the open-hearted.
Isn't that legit to say that? Because especially considering if you were talking about the right, let's just say even like Bush, like when the real Republicans were really in charge, you would say, okay, all right, so he's listening to the right. What is there to listen to the right now? It's the MAGA party, which doesn't care about, they have no principles, they have no morals, and the only person they listen to is their dear leader. So why engage with them? I saw you with Charlie Kirk. Let me play this with Charlie Kirk. You were at, what is this thing, America First, and I'm like, why on earth?
America Fest, yeah.
America Fest. Why on earth is Cenk Uygur sitting down with Charlie Kirk? Here it is.
I knew you guys were for real in fighting against the establishment when I started going on right-wing shows and I would say something negative about Mitch McConnell. And when I did that in the past, what I would get back is, oh, no, Mitch McConnell's great. Pelosi's terrible, but Mitch McConnell's great.
Let's do that here. What do you guys think of Mitch McConnell?
Okay, so then, but why Charlie Kirk? We know who Charlie Kirk is.
Yeah. So let's break this one down. So first off, I think that your fundamental premise is actually wrong. And that is why there's this heated debate, argument, conversation around it. So what I said there is exactly right, in my opinion. And so based on my experience. So when I would go on right-wing shows in the past, I'd get a wall of propaganda and talking points. And I knew what the talking points were going to be ahead of time. I could tell you before I went on air, and they would always give you the same predictable Fox News talking points. It was like talking to a wall. It was totally pointless. Now I've gone on dozens of right-wing shows, and they all have slightly different opinions. I think today the right-wing base is in some ways, I get what you're saying about it, in some ways they're worse, but in some ways I think it's better than in the past. And I get that I'm seeing that before others do because I've had that experience of interacting with them so much. And I get that people look at it and go, oh, that can't be right. MAGA's all bad. And if Cenk is telling me that there's parts of where we might agree or parts where they might not be bad, then I guess Cenk must be one of them. And you know the Dave Rubin track, so people get like as soon as I was going to
ask you about that.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you. Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
And we can talk about Dave Rubin because that is, anyways. So let's talk about this. A couple things. You said you think my premise is wrong. You said, let's start with that. And then there's another thing of what you said. So how am I wrong?
So in the old days, they were just single-minded. To that Mitch McConnell point, if I said Mitch McConnell, Dick Cheney, whoever else, they would have been like, no way, they're the greatest thing on earth.
Okay, so that's the premise. You stated that. Okay, you said because you think, but then you said they are different than they were before, or better than they were before?
In some ways. And so here's why. If I went to go on Fox News 5 years ago, or really any right-wing show, and I said, hey guys, why don't we do paid family leave? they'd be like, boo, get out of here. That's not in favor of corporations. Shut up, or whatever. Now, they wouldn't say that it's not in favor of corporations. They would have been fed a talking point of corporate propaganda about how paid family leave isn't good for moms, even though it's great for moms, right? Now, when I go talk about paid family leave, we have a real conversation. Does every show agree? No, but almost. So wait, if the right-wing shows are agreeing on paid family leave, what world are we in? So the one school of thought is, no, Cenk, you're naive. They're all lying in mass, even though they're really not known for lying. They're known for sharing their opinions, no matter how crazy they are.
I think they're known for lying, but
What's that?
I think they're known for lying.
But that's interesting. I mean, look, one of the principal complaints we had on the left about MAGA was they say crazy things. They say things we don't agree with. They say things that are politically incorrect. So it's not like they're shy about sharing their controversial opinions. So, and remember, separate out the voters from the leaders. Like Trump, of course, known for lying. Of course, right? As much as anyone is known for lying, Trump is known for it. But, and do they believe that too much? Absolutely. But did our side believe in the absolute horse crap that Joe Biden and Democratic leadership have been peddling for the last 20 years? Yeah, we believed it way too much. And to the point where the guy's, brain is falling out of his head and we could all see it on screen. And our side was like, no, it's not. He's young and dynamic. He always believed Democratic leadership. And my point is, guys, this is a whole new world where there's new media. In the old days, the media drilled the talking points into your head. So if you watched MSNBC or you watched Fox News, you were going to have one way of thinking. Now, since they're watching all different shows, they can say, hey, you know what? I don't want, I want mass deportation of immigrants and we hate it. There's only two genders and we hate it. The left wing does not agree with those things. But then they'll turn around and say, but we agree with you on war, or we agree with you on paid family leave. So what I'm trying to get people to see is take the win. Now, if you say, hey, Cenk, they're lying in mass, even though, again, they're not really known for that, and I don't believe you, and it'll never happen, no problem. We're going to find out. Right?
I'm going to have to take notes because there's so much. Look, the thing is that I believe that you should go into the lion's den, right? I truly believe that. But I don't think that you always have to go in certain ways and to certain venues. And if you do go into the lion's den, then I don't think that you go in there now. It feels to me that you are praising your praise of the right outweighs your criticism of the left, and you're on the left, right? So I can see criticizing the left. I think they're soft. I think, as my producer always says, they're bringing a knife to a bazooka fight, a butter knife to a bazooka fight, and they need to adopt some of how the right operates, especially politically and with messaging, etc. But I don't believe that you always have to go in there and put yourself in the position for people to make fun of you. You have to understand, you seriously, for the right and the left to make fun of you. Those folks, when you go in there, those folks are going to, as soon as you leave, they're going to make fun of you. They're going to lie about what you said. They're going to put out headlines. Cenk loses his cool or lies about such and such. And they're just such dishonest brokers that I don't understand sometimes why you engage. And I'll talk about some of the platforms you engage on. I'm not sure why you do it. But I think David Pakman, in his interview with you, really sort of got to the heart of it. I'm just going to play a little bit of it, and then I have a question for you after. Here it is.
We're worried about the power of the establishment and elites, the recalcitrant centers of power that are corrupt, and we're sick of them and all of that. We would identify the problem with almost the exact same language that the crowd at Amfest would. The problem is when you say, okay, left-wing populist, what's your solution? We talk about social democracy, curbing corporate power, using regulations. They will still say the solution is tax cuts for the rich and corporations and all the same stuff. So my instinct is, and tell me if I'm wrong. I want to hear, I'm open to having my mind change. My thought is, even if we really were in agreement about the problem, once we get to solutions, we're not even at all on the same page.
Yeah.
No,
So,
I think you are wrong.
So this is where I agree with him, especially considering what just happened a couple days ago, recently, and that is the inauguration. And you see, when you said, you talk about corporate power and all of that, you see Donald Trump with the richest people in the world on the front row cozying up to power, and those MAGA folks, the shows that you're going on, they have no problem with it. They love it. They support all the folks who are up there, including their dear leader. So do you feel like, maybe I should change my stance on this, considering, if you just take a look at a photograph from the inauguration?
Nope, not even close. So let's break this down. Look, so I was on Piers Morgan this morning, and I get into it with a very, fundamentalist right winger, right? And he says the bishop that called out the Donald Trump on Inauguration Day is satanic because she's a female bishop. I light into him. We get into this huge fight, right? And then at the end, Piers asks us about oligarchy. And I explain how, hey, whether you're populist right, populist left, watch out for the donor class because they're not on your side. And this guy who we've been yelling at each other for about 40 minutes straight goes, oh, yeah, he's right about that. Okay, so now when I go on to other right-wing shows, is it perfect overnight? Of course not. Are they left-wingers? Of course not. That's why we have such huge disagreements on social issues and even on some economic issues. But when you get to the corporate oligarchy, you see Steve Bannon in a giant fight with Elon Musk, and you see Steve Bannon saying, raise corporate taxes, raise tax on the rich. So now I'm not saying that you then go do a bear hug of Steve Bannon and say Steve Bannon's an angel, Steve Bannon's right about everything. That's crazy. Of course not.
But the thing is, saying that now.
Hold on, Don. Let me ask you something back. When you see Steve Bannon ripping into Elon Musk, do you think it's all theater and he's lying and they're actually best friends?
I don't know any of that. I think that is where Steve Bannon is now. I think that is where, maybe a Charlie Kirk is. And I don't look, I didn't really even know about a lot of these figures when I was in legacy media because it just didn't rise to the level. They never sort of got there. But now, Steve Bannon, of course, obviously. But it's where they are now. And as long as you're going, I have no problem with you going again into the lion's den. But as long as you realize that we're in a different time, and I think that you do. And by the way, let me just preface this by saying, and I've told you this before, I really respect what you've done in this whole independent media thing, right? What you've built here. And so for me to sit back and look at you and say, well, is he foregoing his principles for the sake of subscribers, ad dollars, money, then that makes him no different than the corporate media that he despises, that he fights against, okay? But if you're going in there and you're understanding that these people are not honest brokers, that's where Steve Bannon is now. Steve Bannon may be different in 5 minutes because they really have no core about some of these things.
So Don, two things. Number one, people are saying two things at the same time that make no logical sense. They say, oh, your audience is leaving you because you're not radical left enough anymore, and you're not. You have to call them Nazis at all times. If you don't, we're going to leave you. And
I don't think people are saying that. I don't think people are. I think that, look, obviously you're being hyperbolic, right? I don't think people are saying
no, I'm not being hyperbolic. That's literally what they're saying. Yeah. So then, and then they say, oh, you're doing it for the money and the grift. So then which one is it? Are our subscribers going up or are they going down? Are we doing it for the money or are we doing it because we're principled and are willing to risk paying subscribers? I'll tell you what the truth is. We've lost paying subscribers, a good amount of them, okay? And that is the exact opposite of a grift. That's people saying we are principled and we're going to bring you real news, even if it costs us dearly. We didn't take any money from Kamala Harris's campaign. It costs us dearly financially, but we do it to be honest and principled.
Okay.
So
I understand that, but I think people think that you believe, this is what they believe, that you're going to gain an audience. You believe the audience on the right is bigger. Those sort of tech bros. Those folks are somehow going to come over to
when has that ever happened? But Don, when has that ever happened?
It hasn't happened because corporate media has tried it, cable news has tried it, and it doesn't work.
And I understand the landscape of media overall. I would argue maybe better than anybody does. Certainly online media. I've been in this game longer than anyone else, longest running show. So I would never be naive enough to think oh my God, I bet if we just switch after 23 years of being left wing to being right wing, that all of a sudden we'll get a larger right wing audience. That's crazy. No, what we're doing, whether you agree or disagree with it, is courageous. We are challenging our own audience. And Don, more than that, these algorithms punish you if you go 1% from the extremes. And so we're willing to risk all of that to be honest with our audience. And I don't see anybody else doing that.
Okay, so here's the thing though, because there are examples of people who are doing this. And I remember I did not before, well, I watched a little bit of YouTube. I started watching, but before I left legacy media, I didn't know the characters. I didn't know the game in the streaming digital space. And once I said, okay, I'm going to go over, I did the deal with X or whatever. And I said, let me watch and engage and see what people say. Every single person said, Don Lemon has nowhere else to go. He's going to be red pilled there. He's going to sell out or whatever. And I said, these people have no idea who I am, because that is never going to happen. But there are examples of people we know who have done that, and they have been fairly successful at doing it, at somehow taking the red pill, apologizing to the people on the right that they called, liars and grifters for years. And what they're doing now is against their principles and what they really believe, because they almighty dollar. So people are worried or concerned, and I think rightfully so, because as I said, some folks have done it, that you're pulling a Dave Rubin, that you're pulling a Rubin, and you're trying to go to the right because it's the shortest line to the front.
Yeah, so as I said in the beginning, it's understandable, since Rubin did that and several other people did that people would be on guard for it. But then once you're on guard, you have to actually listen to what people are saying. Are they actually doing that, or are they not doing that? Instead, they're being open-minded, open-hearted, and actually trying to get to the actual truth and being news people, right? So in the case of Dave Rubin, he went from, I'm on the left and, I'm going to stand up for LGBTQ rights, et cetera, to going on Fox
He's
News.
A whole different person. I knew Dave Rubin back in the day when he had remember on Sirius, he had a gay radio show on Sirius. He'd asked me to come on, his boyfriend, and even, hey, I made a deal with Bonobos. Would you like some Bonobos stuff? Get whatever, merch or whatever, just nice. Really just excoriating the right. And then, look, there's a lot that I know, but enough of Dave Rubin. I don't think it's worth. So you understand what I'm saying.
Now let's do the juxtaposition with us, okay? So on the issue that you brought up, Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon defrauded his own viewers with that fake wall that he was building, and should have been tried and convicted along with his co-conspirators who were convicted. And he got off because he's buddies with Donald Trump, and Trump gave him an outrageous pardon. Steve Bannon is incredibly hateful when it comes to issues of race, immigration, etc. His favorite book is Camp of the Saints, which is the most racist book there is. The hero of that book is a right-winger who goes and murders all the immigrants trying to get into France. That's also Ann Coulter's favorite book. So these are all things that are absolutely true. So for all the things that you hate about Steve Bannon, you are correct. Those things are true. At the same time, I have open eyes and open ears. He said it during the first term. He's doubling down on it now. He's a populist. Populist doesn't mean blanket good. Left-wing populists and right-wing populists massively disagree on social issues, right? But he's not faking it. He's been saying this for a long time about increasing corporate taxes and increasing tax on the rich. And when you go to fight Elon Musk, the world's richest man, and the guy who's the first buddy of Donald Trump, you're taking a giant risk. That doesn't help Steve Bannon at all, politically, grifting-wise, etc. Okay. That appears to be his true principle. If you say, hey, I don't want to appear like I'm opening the door to the right wing, even listening to the right wing at all, so I'll just say that Steve Bannon is a devil and every position he has is wrong without even looking into the positions, well, I don't think that's the right way to go. All right, look, you see that there's a giant difference between what I'm saying and what Dave Rubin did, changing all of his positions overnight, that those things are totally, utterly different.
I have to, if I say, I have to flip it because it's just such a grift. It's unbelievable. Because no one, I don't care who you are, no one changes their core principles like that. No one just does a 180. There are some things where you go, okay, you know, I'm a little bit conservative on this. I'm a little bit more liberal on this. Okay, so I've opened my eyes to this, but just the entire thing, and then the whole, what was it, Russia tenant thing of it all, is like, okay, it was just mind blowing to me. But anyways, look, I just want to play this. A couple people who I respect here, really respect in this space, these spaces. You, Dave Pacman, Brian Tyler Cohen. You were on Brian. I want to play a little bit of it, and then we're going to move on to something else. I'm going to get your response, and then we'll move on.
My worry is that like you trying to get through to them on these issues of principle is falling flat because it's not principle that got them there in the first place. There is no long-standing principle when you are a Trump supporter.
So do you believe that there is no? I believe there is no long-standing principle. Not necessarily if you're. Well, I guess if you're a Trump supporter, yeah, because as you said, so many lies. But if you are one of these MAGA folks, if you are making excuses for, you know, violent, really criminals storming the Capitol and being pardoned, then that's not, you have no principles. And as long as you understand that, then I think people are maybe okay or should be okay with what you're doing. You don't believe that?
No, I think that you guys are talking about the 2016 and 2020 base. And if you say, well, I can't, you're saying that the base is very different in 24. I'm saying, yeah, the base is somewhat different, right? So what does somewhat different mean? Remember, Don, we're in a spectrum, right? There is no black and white. There is no like, hey, this is the Republican voter. There were people who voted for Donald Trump because they were worried about inflation. And they don't care about any of this other hateful stuff, blah, blah, blah. There are people who voted for Donald Trump because they think the Democratic Party lied to them. And then there are people who voted for him because they think he's a demigod. And they like the anti-immigrant talk and the anti-this talk and the anti. So it's a giant range, right? And so in the old days, though, when, you know, outward facing in media, et cetera, they were all, you know, single-minded. Whatever Trump says, absolutely. But I could show you already a dozen examples where they were like, no, we don't agree. So by the way, on things that we might agree with Trump more than we agree with his MAGA base on some of them. For example, on COVID, they thought that he did too much in response to COVID. We're closer to Trump than the MAGA base is there. But wait a minute, you see how they're disagreeing. And if you ask them about Marco Rubio, Stefanik, et cetera, they'll say those are establishment neocons and we don't like them. Yeah. So that doesn't mean they're doing a revolt against Trump and going, no, we hate Rubio and take him down. But they are disagreeing with him. H-1B visas, disagreement. If you're not seeing the disagreement, think about the disagreement, though, Cenk. The disagreement on H-1B visas, and people were shocked that I had such salty language around it. It's because of the racist. Like the disagreement shows you really the sort of integrity or the soul of the MAGA folks, because they went online and they were so racist about Indian American people, the Indians, and these are the brown folks that they, I think the folks like Vivek, who is a brown person, which is shocking to me, but they are the good brown folks, which is H-1B visa people, where many of them brown folks from India. And then the bad brown folks are the ones who happen to be coming over from the border. And it is really steeped in such disgusting racism that it's hard for me to find any good when there is a disagreement on H-1B visas. So, Don, that's a great example. And again, I think you're seeing it wrong. And not because you're completely wrong, but because you're only seeing a part of it. So that's just such a great example. So H-1B visas, are there the racist components you're talking about? Absolutely. There's no question about it. They're not hiding it, and they just say it. Some of the right-wing media, the leaders, et cetera, let alone the followers. We don't want these Indians in the country. We don't want these immigrants, et cetera.
Leanne Coulter, I would have voted for you. I can't vote for you because you're Indian. And look at what happens to the two Indian candidates from the MAGA presidential election. Basically, they're outcasts now. They don't want them.
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated than that, because Nikki Haley and Vivek are very different, and they don't like Nikki Haley because she's establishment, and Vivek is super annoying. But that's a different thing.
Both will say anything to be president.
Yeah, anything to get ahead.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but on H-1B visas, it's complicated because there's a lot of progressives. Like again, we come to who's the left, right? So we've changed none of our policies, and I think that we represent the great majority of the left-wing voters. And so I used to support H-1B visas completely because it brought in some of the top talent in the world. I'm in favor of immigration. I love that it makes us stronger, etc. But populists, both from the right and the left, started to make very good arguments against it, including Bernie Sanders, who had an op-ed, and Ro Khanna, and all these guys came out and said, wait a minute, the H-1B visa is getting abused. This isn't racial. Ro Khanna's Indian, obviously, right? Indian American. And he said they're now replacing a lot of the engineers for half the price and kicking out these American engineers. And it's not because, we can't find them. It's because they want to cut costs. And this is part of corporate rule.
I understand.
So
I think you're pointing out, I think you're making
that,
my point. I think you're proving my point, because the reason that the left and someone like Bernie Sanders disagrees with H-1B visas is a completely different, understandable, logical, factual reason, rather than the racist reason that you find on the right. You don't find that that does not exist on the left or on the center.
I swear to you that you're seeing it wrong. Does that racist part exist? Yes. But a lot of the right wing also agree on economic grounds. And then there's the people that are in the middle that think America first. Let's take
I don't
care
agree.
of
I'm not saying all of the right. I'm not saying all of the right. What I'm saying is that you wouldn't get that vitriol if someone, first of all, someone I believe on the left, and look, I'm not a Democrat or Republican, I'm an independent, okay? But there's someone on the left I don't believe would have written that really, oh my God, infuriating letter or tweet that Vivek Ramaswamy wrote, right? In some ways, shockingly biased by his own means. And then I don't think you would have gotten the vitriol and the racism and the bigotry and all of that on the left that you got on the right. I'm not saying that everyone on the right, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that they're different principally, and the core values are different. Democrats are terrible at politics. Don't get me wrong. But at the core, they're not freaking racist pieces of crap like a lot of people in the MAGA movement, or many people in the MAGA movement, I should say.
So, Don, that goes to the disagreements we have on social issues between the right and the left. So I understand exactly what you're saying. At the same time, though, I'm beginning to see, Don, that we have our own version of that. And it's not the same and it's not as bad. But now we've gotten into a mindset that everyone on the right is the worst person on earth.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, you kind of are, though.
Wait, no, I'm not saying. I just told you I don't believe that.
Kind of are.
I am not. By pointing out a fact does not say that saying that I think that everybody on the right. I don't think that everybody on the right is.
Well, you're saying those are the people on the right. They're the racist, terrible people, and we're the good guys. And largely, I agree. That's why I'm on the left, right?
I'm not saying I'm not part of the we.
But at the same time, a lot of us on the left keep calling them Nazis, racist, et cetera, and we have so much vitriol towards them that I'm challenging us to say, hey guys, is this what the left is supposed to be? Or are we supposed to be a little bit more open-minded and open-hearted about it? And so let me finish the thought. Don, let me finish the thought.
Okay.
On H-1B visas. So it's okay to say, hey, these group of people are being racist about it. They say it. We're against Indians, we're against other races, et cetera. But it's also okay to say, no, but there's also a portion of the right wing that agree with us that the H-1B visas should be reformed on economic grounds. They're coming to Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is not going to them. And if they come to Bernie Sanders, for God's sake, take the goddamn win.
Okay.
But our side goes, no. The minute that it's a right winger, they're the devil. They're the racist. I don't want anything to do. But they're saying yes.
Okay.
Please take yes for an answer on the limited things that they are saying yes to.
Okay.
And unfortunately, a lot of people on our side are actively rejecting yes for an answer on policies we fought for our whole lives. And Don, it's not going to happen on day one. Trump's not going to turn it like, oh my God, I'm an angel. I don't care about money or anything about it. No, we have to try to get to that right-wing populist base that agrees with us on economic issues and unite to create enough pressure on Donald Trump, Elon Musk, et cetera, to maybe get to the right things on a couple of issues.
All right, I get it. Okay. Couple things. Number one, it's not us. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a progressive. Okay. So I'm looking at this from, I believe, a center left, sometimes center right perspective. Okay. The other thing is that, yes, I agree with you that you have to work together. But I believe what you're doing, what you're saying is a false equivalence. And I think civility goes both ways. And so you're asking for some sort of, I believe that you are asking for this sort of patriotic civility that you've got to be nice, you've got to work with people when the folks on that side don't want to work with the other side. And they are the ones, they are usually the, hang on, please. They are ones that's usually the name callers. They are the ones that are using the bigoted language. They are the ones who are, I'm not saying they're all Nazis, but there are neo-Nazis. All of those people that you mentioned, the neo-Nazis, are they on the left, Cenk?
No.
Okay. Are the people who are calling, the Indian Americans, and I don't mean Native Americans, I mean Indian Americans like Nikki Haley and Vivek, are they on the left?
So no,
no. But please answer my question. Don, are those folks on the left?
That's why I'm on the left, Don.
So
that's why I'm on the left.
Okay, so fine. So what I'm saying is, don't do the false equivalence, and don't think that civility goes both one way. It goes both ways. And so I believe until those folks start being civil to the people who are on the left, then you have to meet them with their own energy and stop saying, okay, and then I want to work with you guys, and okay, let's kumbaya. It doesn't work that way with the new right. It doesn't work that way with MAGA.
So, Don, you're not listening to what I'm saying. I just told you that
maybe
I was. I was in a 45-minute debate with a right winger where I said, "Are you done? Are you done? Look at any right winger that I talk to. We get into these brawls, and then on the things that we agree on, we say yes. And you're seeing something in my mind that is absolutely lunatic position to say." Don't even listen to them. You didn't hear me. That's not what I said. I said you can work with them. I think you're crazy.
No. I'm saying where you can find agreement, you can find agreement, but you have to realize that civility goes both ways, and you don't have to engage with people. Go ahead. Go ahead.
First of all, civility is the wrong frame to begin with. I'm never civil. I'm not civil to the right. I'm not civil to the left. I'm not civil to anyone. Brother, I love you. I get along so great with you. I'm not civil to you here because we're in the middle of an interesting ideological debate and discussion, okay? So it's not civility I'm looking for. It's agreement on our issues.
You're looking for some common ground.
Yes. And so
I get that
doesn't mean you have to be civil to them. It doesn't mean you have to kiss their ass. It doesn't mean that on issues we don't agree on, that you shouldn't punch them in the face rhetorically. And that's what I do. That's what I've done my whole life.
In many ways, we're saying the same thing. I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying know who you're dealing with. And don't expect...
the idea that I would be naive about it is hilarious.
Okay. Don't think that the leopard is not going to eat your face. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Believe me. If I get as what was it, Mystical said, if you see me fighting a grizzly bear in the woods, call for help because that bitch gonna need it.
Okay. Let me ask you this: Why on earth do you go on Piers Morgan? I know Piers. Full transparency. When I was at CNN, Piers and I worked together I would go on his show all the time. When he left, I inherited Piers's entire team, even his office, right? And I took over his time slot. And so Piers and I know each other. We were very friendly. The Piers that I knew then is not the Piers that I know. You remember the old, gun rights, gun control Piers? That's not the Piers that we see now. And so I'm not saying that you shouldn't go on that show. I would go on that show as a singular guest. I don't want to go on that show on a panel because it's only fighting. I know that you have to go, right? Because you got other stuff to do.
No, it's okay.
Okay. So why on earth do you go on that show? Because you just blow up. He needles you into blowing up. The guests do the same thing. Do you just have fun doing it? You understand what they're doing, correct?
Yeah. That's why it's so ironic that you made the point about civility. I'm a gladiator, so I like being in the Coliseum. So I don't mind it at all. People talk about the marketplace of ideas, and a lot of times it's BS, right? There's just talking points, and we shout back and forth, etc. But I believe in the marketplace of ideas, and so I like being in that battle. And so what we're doing now is really risky. We're challenging our own side in those. Right
on. But this is what I hear, and you talk and don't shut up until, all right, you just talk. Go ahead, Cenk. You talk.
Yeah. So
This is what I hear when I hear that. It's like
I know.
everybody's just talking over each other
I
and
know.
yelling, and that's what. And I'm like, this is. I hate that. I hate that
I
about
know.
cable news. And he's basically doing the cable news, the streaming version of that on cable news, where nothing gets accomplished. That's all I'm saying.
But
that's why I don't like to do panels.
But in defense of peers, there's two different things between what he does now and what happens on TV. Number one, what happens on TV is only 5 minutes. So in 5 minutes, you only have time for talking points, and it's counterproductive. It's not helpful. It hurts the conversation. It's not a real exchange of ideas. It's an exchange of talking points. It's an exchange of marketing one-pagers, right? At least when you go on peers, it lasts around an hour. And then you eventually do get to make your points through all the shouting and the fighting, etc. And just like I said happened today, you might do a brawl with a guy and then at the end go, holy shit, we agree on the oligarchy, right? Yeah. And so that would not have happened on television. On television, they don't want you to agree. Well, what do we do?
You can do that without talking over each other. You can do that without yelling. You can have an intelligent conversation where you do it. But it's clicks.
He puts on a circus. I know that.
It's clicks.
Yeah, it's bread and circus. Yeah. But you know what? If you're a gladiator, that's what you do.
Well, that's my nature. But I'm also very careful about where I expend my energy and how I want to be seen in those spaces because I get hit enough. But I actually like watching the sort of right-wing podcast bros or whatever. I watch a lot of it. I've even appeared on some of them. But I'm not going to do it in a panel, right? I'm not going to do it where folks are yelling over each other. I just hate that format. I think it's counterproductive. It's unproductive, especially in the time that we're in where people need solutions. So, Cenk, let's move on. We'll agree to disagree on some things, which I think we should be doing. And by the way, I have the utmost, as I told you, respect for you. I think that you're a pioneer in this business. The other thing that I don't like is I think that some of the folks who are coming after you, who are criticizing you, and I told you this, I don't like it because I think it's vicious and it's cruel, and I see them trying to steal your subscribers and to steal your members, and it just seems very targeted to me, as if they want to cancel you. I don't think that you should be canceled. I think that you should be criticized, all of us, even me. But I don't believe in canceling people or trying to steal their subscribers or really just going after them ruthlessly day after day after day. Have you noticed that, and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, look, I'm a little bit more zen about it because over 20 years that we've been online, I'm not sure that there's a lot of people who've been criticized more than me in the history of the internet. So that's Tuesday to me. And we've been in a lot of these battles already, Don. So when people look at this snapshot of time, they go, oh, you're in this battle with this left winger and that host and blah, blah, blah. And oh my God, is Young Turks. Like the thing that I've heard 100 times in my life is Young Turks is going down. Young Turks is going down. Yet here we are, and our competition is a graveyard. So a lot of these guys are headed straight towards that graveyard. Why? Because they're doing a scam. They're doing like a little thing where they're like, oh, I'm the most left. I'm the most pure. Everybody else is a Nazi.
I hate the purity test. I hate the purity test. I hate the canceling. And
that has a limited shelf life. So for a while, it gets people riled up and passionate, and they tell them, oh, yeah, these guys are selling out for money, even though there's no evidence of that. They tell them, oh, my God, they're turning right-wing, even though there's no evidence of that. And then after a while, the audience goes, wait a minute, none of the things they said turn out to be true, right? Yeah. And so the reason we keep winning after year after year after year is because we earn people's trust. And at the end, they go, oh, my God, he was right about that. He was, I called Bernie having a shot at beating Hillary in 2013. That's online. You can see it. Mm-hmm. So there's a series of these things that we have said where people said, you're crazy. Bernie's polling at 1%. What kind of a lunatic thinks he's going to challenge Hillary Clinton?
Okay.
I called Bill de Blasio when he was running third in New York.
And so hit the thumbs up, by the way, if you're watching this. Maybe that's what we're reminding folks. Let me ask you then a couple things, because I want to let you go. I know that you're a very busy man. You actually have a live show to do. So here's the thing. How do you feel about the media now? Do you think that the media is in some ways, well, it's not even in advance now, where they're sort of complying and obeying in advance? Do you think that the media is strong? I have real concerns about the media in this time where they need to be strong. It seems like they're being weak.
Yeah. So if we're talking about legacy media, mainstream media, I think they're getting all the wrong lessons. So they're now being more compliant to Donald Trump. So there's a difference between fighting but looking for common ground, being open-minded, and being compliant. So when they seem to be bending a knee to Trump and saying we're going to pull the editorials, our real opinion about Trump is that he shouldn't be president, but we're pulling that, right? We're going to go over that, give him $1 million for his inauguration fund, hire a bunch of people who are going to go kiss his ass on air, etc. That's the wrong lesson. The correct lesson is be hard on Trump, but also be hard on the Democrats. Be hard on populists, but also be hard on the establishment.
Yeah, that's not happening. That's not happening now because everyone is sort of complying. And I think, I see the right-wing versions of the folks who stand up for MAGA and whatever, and they say the most outrageous things, they get away with it, but there is no equivalent to it on the left. You would be the closest to it, but there's no equivalent, who's hired as someone who is a contributor on a center or a left-leaning station, or even on the right. There's no left-wing equivalent to the folks that they hire on the right just to defend Donald Trump. The other thing is, look, I think we're kind of in the same space with that. What do you think, what's happening now? We've got the raids going on. You've got all these executive orders that are happening, and just the inauguration of it all. What did you think watching that inauguration and some of the antics around it?
I'm split on it. So most of his executive orders are terrible, right?
Oh, by the way, let me just to wrap up the conversation about the media. Did you see the ratings? Part of it is I think that is Trump fatigue, but part of it is I believe that people believe that the legacy media is failing them, but also we're viewing the inauguration through the legacy media. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, I think that's definitely right. I mean, the cable news's subscriber base is going down naturally, so you're going to get less ratings as the years go on naturally. But on top of that, they've really lost the faith of the American people. I mean, there was a poll that came out the other day. Legacy media is viewed with 7% favorability. Wow. And to me, the core of the issue is they keep pretending that it's not theater, that they keep pretending the politicians are real and they're not controlled by the donors. And the American people, left and right, don't agree. They think the politicians are crooks and that they're completely controlled by the donors. And so that's the main thesis that the Young Turks have had for 20 years. And now almost everyone's come around to it except legacy media. And that's why people go, these guys are clowns. They think that these politicians are honest actors and they're having real ideological debates. No, they're just cashing checks. So that's my critique of legacy media that I've had for decades, and I think the chickens are coming home to roost there. Now on the inauguration, so a lot of pomp and circumstance. I hate pomp and circumstance. The executive orders, there's the bucket of ones that we knew we were going to get, but we hate anyway. Getting out of the Paris Climate Treaty, that's terrible. We delay a real fix for 4 years, but we knew if Trump won that was going to happen. Then there's the ones that go beyond that, ending birthright citizenship, which is unconstitutional and mental and un-American and all of those things. But now, because we're fair, I will also say Trump has the optics and to some degree the reality of delivering for his base. Mm-hmm. So when Democrats get into office, they go, well, we're not going to do anything. You have to push us to do it. You have to push us to do it. And then when you go to push them to do it, they're like, how dare you push us, right? Yeah. So whereas Trump goes, you don't have to push me on anything. Here's thousands of executive orders, and I'm taking action. God, the optics of that from a political strategy point of view is great. And if we don't learn from that and we bury our head in the sand and go, everything Trump does is evil, we'll do the opposite, that's a wrong takeaway. Fight him on the policy and see what he's doing right on the strategy.
Cenk, this should have been my first question to you. Cenk Uygur, are you a sellout?
No, never, ever, ever. And by the way, Young Turks, 6 o'clock Eastern, every single day, Monday through Friday. Come see. And if you see us being right-wing, go, oh, I got you, right? If you see us kissing anyone's ass, oh, I got you. No, but what you'll see instead is us being brutally honest with the other side, with our side, with mainstream media, with the politicians. No one criticizes the politicians more than we do, whether they're right or left. By the way, no one gives credit where credit is due, whether they're left or right. more than we do. It's called actual news. So that's what we do on the Young Turks.
Cenk Uygur, thank you. You took the heat, by the way, off Anna a little bit, and I hope to have her on this program. But I appreciate you appearing. Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Don. Appreciate it, brother. Good.
Woo! Oh my gosh, that was exhausting. Okay. Thoughts and prayers, right? I want to know what you guys think about it. What do you think? I'm taking your questions now. The comments have been crazy. I asked folks, that's what I asked him directly, if he's a sellout, because that has been what people have been saying, that Cenk is somehow a sellout. And wow, you guys are really. Please close the door behind Cenk, says Cam Moore. Oh my gosh. And Allison Kinsey says, nope, not viewing you. Goodbye. You are the weakest link. Frankie Smith says, sellout. Why? You don't think that there should be, is Cenk right, that perhaps folks should be open to working with the MAGA people or with people like Charlie Kirk and others that he's been appearing on the show? The media's weak. We need independent journalists. That's what Cindy says. I tend to agree with people. And Andrew says, bye. He's a sellout, says Ing Lewis. Now, look, I'm not saying I agree with you guys. I'm just reading the comments. I smell gas, says Nana Pants. What does that mean? Oh, that you're gaslighting. He's gaslighting. Karen White says, I'm on fire. West 156 says, Snoop Cenk. Media needs to push back now. He will walk all over them, says Tammy Strawling. Man, you guys are tough. That was a tough conversation. Did you guys understand, by the way, Everett Tosher says, I haven't seen any network news since June. Did you think that he understood where I was coming from? Perhaps I was too tough on him. I don't know. I think in this time that that media needs to be really, really strong. And also, folks need to be strong in their opposition. I think you guys get it when I point out that there are, among MAGA, in the midst of MAGA, there are neo-Nazis. There are bigots. There are racists. There are homophobes. There are anti-Semites among their midst. Now, look, I don't think the left, that is part of their overall identity as it is on the right now, especially the extreme right now. He's not fooling me. He knows Trump will censor left-wing media, so he's trying to appeal to the right, says Casper Freiligist. I don't know. Thank you for your support of independent media. But I do have to say, look, in person, Cenk is a nice guy. He's a good guy. He's been doing, someone said he has, I forget how many millions of subscribers, and you have almost 400,000 or 397. Cenk has been doing this since 2005. What year are we in now? We are in 2025. That means he's been doing this for 2 decades. He's at almost a 20-year leap on me. So if that was some sort of thing where you're trying to hit me, that's not, it doesn't make sense. Ma Dukes the Poet says, thank you for your support of independent media. Yep, let the folks who support the man who revoked the Civil Rights Act. We cannot fraternize with those who seek to oppress us. I think what they're doing, I shouldn't say revoked, they're refusing here to approve the enhanced John Lewis Civil Rights Act. Less than a year, says Caleb B. Yeah, 10 months. So let's not, try to troll and whatever. No reason to look for common ground with MAGA, says Everett Tosher. He's a grifter, says Frankie Smith. Now, Cenk says he's not a grifter. He actually says that it's hurting him. He actually says that he is losing subscribers because he is open to going and speaking to the folks on the right, and because he's open about the right, and he thinks that the left is perhaps too strident in their opposition. As a black man, I can't stand next to people who actively work against me and my kind, even if we agree on taxing the rich. Cenk is delusional. Now, is there too much of a purity test? Is this too much of a purity test from you guys? Because remember, no one is perfect, not even us, not even you. I'm asking. Now, you guys know how I feel. I've told you in that interview how I feel. Thank you, Jerry Rayon. Because of Jerry Rayon's generosity, 5 people become members of Elimination. So Jerry, you the best. Thank you, Jerry. You say, Jerry, you're not in danger, girl. Nana Pants. Nana Pants is always in this. I can't find it now. Boger Rodriguez, thank you for your support of independent media. MAGA will never love him or us. Do we need love from them? Do we need to work with them? Do we? Grim R, thank you for your support of independent media. You just say thanks, Don. I appreciate that. So where do we go from here with this conversation? Where do we go from here now? I think some folks think that we are back in the late 1900s, 1990 something. Samantha Pruitt says, yeah, not watching them anymore. Wow. I think you should watch Cenk. Josie says, Josie, welcome to the Elimination. Marcus in Maryland says he has drank. What did Marcus say? Marcus, I lost your thingy-majig. Oh, here it is. He has drank the Kool-Aid, Don. Or he drank the Kool-Aid. Yeah, he's drank the Kool-Aid. Don't kill me. I'm just I forget what, I can't see what the entire thing. It says, you sit down. Why can't I get out of this? There we go. You sit down and talk with people you politically disagree with. You don't sit down with a modern day Nazi party. Now, you guys are saying that Nazi. I'm just saying that there are neo-Nazis in that party. And they're very proud of it. And the folks in the party are very aware of it. The folks in the party are very aware of it, and you cannot pretend that they are not. Easy attack. If you're a racist, how can I trust your policy? Thank you for your support. These are all great questions. All great questions. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe. Our memberships are growing quickly. Our subscribers are growing quickly. Remember to subscribe. It is free. And we have more fascinating conversation. I think you should check out our conversation earlier about the media and what is going on. Someone asked me on our live feed, Hot Topics at 10 o'clock, give us some insight on the media and how they're feeling about this. And I do it. So check it out. It is called Fake-ish Media. And it's up on YouTube right now, and I encourage you to watch that, okay? I also encourage everyone, again, to hit the thumbs up. Thank you. Welcome, Sarah. Pentaxenstein, thank you for your support of independent media. You said, Don, explain how you nuzzled up to Musk before he cut you hard. Strange you see it differently now. Cozy with a Nazi then, but not now, and I really like you. Okay, that's not... If you understand what happened, exactly what I said to Cenk is exactly the reason I wanted to join X, is because I wanted to get in there and fight. But if you'll notice from that interview, my core did not change. My questions were honest, they were thoughtful, I pushed for answers, and I called him on things that he said. I didn't go in there in similar to ways that people are criticizing Cenk for. So I think that Pentaxenstein, that you are proving everything I just said to Cenk in that conversation right. That you should engage, that you should not cede some of this territory to the loonies, to the far-right extremists of both parties. So I appreciate your question, but I want you to know, As I said during that conversation, I was not red-pilled. I was not bought by anyone. If I go in there, I'm going to be myself and hold them to account. So there you go. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I'm glad I got to explain that to you so that you too can understand. Okay? And by the way, thank you for your support of independent media. I appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe. I hope you've subscribed. Subscriptions are free. And I hope you become a member as well. Linda Firk, oh shoot, it went past Linda. Sharonda Marshall Irving, welcome to the Lemon Nation. Welcome to Lemonhead. She's the Lemonhead. Pamela Cornish, welcome to the Lemon Nation. Also, Cody Parks. Can't ride both sides of the fence, says Redbird72. Melanie Rice says exactly. Diane Roberts says, I've stopped watching Cenk because I really don't like his style or direction he is going. Also stopped watching Midas Touch. They always talk about Trump, even petty posts, never focus on Dems. Look, you know, we love the Midas folks. I cannot speak for them, but we focus on everything. I just went after, or I was very critical of Democrats just yesterday. And so I am honest about everything, even when folks on this channel don't like it. I like dissent. I like when people disagree with me. I like reading Penn Jackson or whatever, then comment. You did an excellent interview with Musk, says Maureen Marfell. So you would understand if I were actually selling out to Musk, then perhaps we would not be here. Correct? Get what I'm saying? Otherwise, I might still be there. Thank you for another great show. I needed this after this morning's show, says Michelle Turner. I like how you asked him, why did you go on his show, says Augusta Winter. So thank you all so much for joining. I really appreciate it. I want you to hit the thumbs up. I like that you are a part of this community. Thank you, Deb Davis, for your generous support of independent media. Thank you, Lox Demfaya. But Don, the Republican Party knows these Nazis are in the party, yet they say nothing. This is why they don't deserve an audience with sane people. Marcus in Maryland says, have you seen, well, I missed it. Marcus, where is it? Have you seen CNN and NBC are laying off hundreds? Yeah, I've heard that. We've known for a long time. We've heard that they're going to lay off a bunch of people. I feel terrible for my friends over there, my former colleagues. But it's a tough time in the media. And so if you go on now, I urge you to go and look at the fake-ish media. Click that. Perhaps, can we put that at the end of this? Nikki, I'm not sure if we can. Is there any way to redirect to that? Nikki?
We can't redirect, but I'll put it up in the end cards. And I also put it in the chat.
Thank you. So check that out. If you want to know what happened to the media, what is going on, thank you. I used to watch Cenk and Anna. I've watched a couple of their shows pre-election. I felt then that they switched up. I watched Cenk with his nephew and unsubscribed to TYT after. Wow. Thank you for your support of independent media. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. So check out our thing we did on media. Check out our other content. Make sure you join us 10 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow for Hot Topics. And I appreciate you joining us here live at 5. Look, I hope you enjoyed the conversation. And as Wendy used to say, I love you for watching. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.